Alright, breaking news. All the Saryn mains, I need you guys in the comment section because there's a lot of stuff going down today at 2:52 p.m. Saryn was rushed to intensive care because she's undergoing her second rework, which is overall crazy. I did not expect it, so this thing caught me by surprise. So I dropped what I was doing. I was eating some ramen noodles with some hot sauce, and I had to drop it because I had to make this video because I'm like, yo, Saryn is one of my go-to frames for doing endurance runs, and you guys know how much I love her, so I will be covering this very closely. There's a lot of people outside of the Tenno hospital holding up signs saying, please don't touch the booty. So is Saryn gonna be great? Yo guys, what's going on? Life of Rio here. So we're gonna be going over the abilities. Remember, everything that I'm saying here is it's subject to be changed, but this is the direction to where they're going. Let me hear what you have to say in the comment section. This rework is actually very important to me because you guys know how much I love Saryn. So let's get started with everything else that we got going on. Since this is really important to me, I had to pull out my wine glass filled with hot cocoa because I am reading the fine print. There's no way I want Saryn to be messed up in any way. So we're in the comment section. Let me know what you guys get from this. There will be a link in the description to the workshop with everything else that they're doing. So let's go ahead and check this out. So they're using big words on us. Come on, we cannot get fooled by the big words. They use the big word like infinite, right? They're going to get our attention there. So they said infinite scaling is now on spores. So we have to look into that to see what that even entails. But there is a very crucial thing to what they did, and this is a huge change because it is a swap of elemental combos. So spores is changed from viral to corrosive. I said, oh my God. Why? Right? So spore is changed from viral to corrosive, and doing spores helps take away and strip enemies' armor, but it is affected by power strength. I'm gonna be assuming recasting spores will detonate and then do 2 times more damage. It strips armor. The status chance is changed from 10 to 50%, and it scales with power strength, so it is. So all of that is going through, and there's a new UI change for spores and the damage counter that's going to be up there for you to let you know what you're actually doing. Now let's get a little bit into this. How much is it going to be scaling? And losing something as amazing as viral as a first ability, which is really cheap to using to switch into corrosive. Corrosive is going to be really, really weird, so we have to pay attention to it. So far it doesn't seem that bad with the change, but you have to think about it. Viral was 6 seconds. Well, actually with her passive it was more, so we're not going to add the passive in there, but at base viral is 6 seconds to cut the enemy's health in half by 50%, right? But with corrosive, it's switched. Now remember, corrosive is going to be based on the enemy's armor. So if you're running at a crewman, you're going to strip that crewman's armor incredibly easy because it only has like 5 armor. But if you're going up against a heavy gunner that has 500 armor, it's going to take a lot more to strip. And what is the percentage base? And I'm really over here thinking like, yo fam, there's not really a way you're going to make a first ability to just strip armor that incredibly fast. You see what I'm saying? So what is going to be the percentage value? Is it going to be taken away from overall total armor? Or is it going to take away from the flat base armor, which is like a heavy gunner's 500? So that right there is very, very important. Also recasting it, like I said, doing 2 times more damage and making it detonate. The status chance went up from 10 to 50%, and like I said, scales with power strength. So it looks like power strength Saryn is kind of creeping back into our lives. You guys remember the old Saryn? Now, a lot of what they said, as you guys can tell, I'm very deep into this. I've been paying attention to this hardcore. So what they said was a lot of new players don't really understand the concept behind Saryn and how she is supposed to be used. So they're trying to make her a little bit not so difficult, if that makes sense to you. So I can respect that in a way. You don't want to make the frame too difficult so everybody can understand it because some people don't know Saryn. But at its core, Saryn is a debuff caster that does ridiculous damage and has great scaling potential. So that's what I'm looking for and don't want to be changed. And also some of the synergies that they gave her now is a little bit switched as well. So let's go into Molt. Now if you guys remember what I said about Molt, Molt should always have a 4-second invincibility casting to really increase her survivability, and also to increase Molt. You guys remember that I've said that in multiple videos. So what they're doing right now with Molt is after you cast Molt, you get a movement speed boost. That is really cool. I was not expecting that. I think that's pretty good. That's very fair. It's a great way to add to the ability. But here's the thing that I did not expect. It scales like Rhino's armor, which is pretty cool. Damage taken in a few seconds will make Molt stronger. I can't complain with that. That is a great way. Now, here's the thing. Molt has 15 meters of aggro pull. So 15 meters of aggro pull with the scaling mechanics that they have into it with the first few seconds. Like Rhino Armor is going to take that damage and bulk up over time and get stronger. So that means that Molt will be an ability that can actually be used in later waves really, really strong. Because the problem with Molt was that it kept dying. It was like a piece of paper. You blow at it, it was gone. You know what I'm saying? So it was done. So that is really, really important. And I kind of like that, what they did right there. So that's pretty good. I'm not mad about that at all. They improved the FX changes to Molt to where it casts with the sounds. Regenerative Molt is going to work the same exact way, which is the augment. So that's not nothing too big. Any damage received from the point of the target is absorbed to health. Damage absorbed will show in a buff indicator in the UI. Once it reaches 0, Molt would explode, dealing toxin damage to nearby enemies. So that's still the same. Not mad about that. That is a great overall quality of life change to Molt itself, and I'm really going to be happy to use the ability now. I mean, either way, we use the ability no matter what, because you know, you throw down Molt, you threw your 1 on it, and then went about your day. They didn't like that playstyle too much, so they're kind of switching it. Now, one of the biggest changes for me, aside from Molt, is going to be Toxic Lash. Now, remember, Toxic Lash only affected your melee weapons, right? You get a multiplier on your melee weapons. Now, I want to let you guys know that they did take away one of the synergies with Toxic Lash. Popping the Toxic Lash and stuff, you guys remember how you used to get the 2 energy back and everything like that? They took that away. You don't get that energy back anymore. You do not get that energy back anymore. So Saryn, you didn't need to have like generic and stuff because you can keep your energy up. They took that one away. All right, so let's get into Toxic Lash. What they actually did was Toxic Lash is now a damage buffing ability. So it works on every single weapon in your loadout, not only your melee weapon, but if you use Toxic Lash on your melee weapon, you do 2 times more damage, and that damage is going to be toxin. So you're going to be putting that toxin element at the end of your weapon, and I'm pretty sure that it should synergize enough with the weapon to where if you're using corrosive on your primary, you're then going to be doing corrosive and toxin, so it should fall in line. And I'm going to see when it drops, is it going to combine with other elements to where you can, you know, add that last element if you had 3 and it turns into something else. So Toxic Lash is active. Your weapon will trigger the toxin effect on any damage instance. Increase the duration from 30% to 45 seconds. I said from 30%, from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. We've maintained Toxic Lash's ability to spread spores to nearby enemies by dealing damage while active. With the new spreading nature of spores, survivability of Molt, and the increased duration of Toxic Lash and Miasma, Saryn is no longer as energy hungry as she used to be. So we removed the 2 energy restores on spores burst by Toxic Lash. I don't know how many people is going to miss that. I'm pretty sure the melee Saryns are going to miss that, but it is a change. But having the damage buff on primaries, secondaries, and 2 times damage on melee, it's an overall plus. Overall, it is a plus for Molt and Toxic Lash. So that's a huge buff for Saryn no matter what. Now, here's the next thing we're going to get into, and this one is going to be Miasma. Now, what they said was, we've taken what's great about Miasma and made it even better in the scope of Saryn 2.0 changes. Here's what they did. Now, remember, we're going to go back to spores. Spores went from viral to corrosive. And what they did now is that they switched Miasma from corrosive to viral. They swapped her first and her fourth. Reasoning for that, I'm not sure. They could have just kept Miasma the same as how it was and made it do the percentage with the status chance like how they did with spores, and just kept spores as an easy viral fix. So I'm pretty sure with them tweaking it the way that they did is going to affect your play style change with Saryn, and that's what I'm looking at. Because if you want that viral, you're going to have to use your 4, which then costs more energy, and so that's the whole synergy of what I'm looking at. So let's go into it. Now, the change from Miasma damage type from corrosive to viral, so they swapped it. Miasma has a 100% guaranteed viral status effect on damage tick, so it still has the tick there with the viral. Increased damage from 350 to 500. Increased duration from 3 to to 5 seconds. Now we do have to put into our thoughts and really think about this one, that it says 5 seconds, but with Saryn's passive it might be like what, 8 seconds. So it might be basically the same, but do remember it is something that you can't spam the same, so we have to think about playstyle changes as well. Miasma inflicts double damage on targets affected by spores, which is kind of like the same synergy that it had before. When recasting on the same enemy, it will refresh and tick the duration, maintain the viral status effects, but it will not stun the enemy a second time. Now in a playstyle change, for her move, her only move, which is her CC stun, I would think that you should be able to reapply it, because naturally how Miasma work is that you have 4-second stun upon cast, which means it's like life support. It takes 4 seconds to activate a life support. So I don't see why you can't reapply it again, since you're going to be costing you, it's going to be costing you like 70 energy. For 70 energy, I should be able to reapply a stun. You see what I'm saying? So that's something I think that they should have looked into. But overall, the only thing that concerned me is the playstyle change of spores and Miasma, on how you're actually going to utilize that into your kit. And once into your kit, another thing that I'm going to think about is that since you have Saryn, on my natural playstyle with Saryn, what will happen is I'll go with a corrosive weapon, and then my one is always viral. So I'll have my one out there doing viral, very quick and efficient, while hitting with corrosive. Now I have to probably switch up my primary weapon and kind of think of different elemental combos on how I'm going to be doing it. The overall thing that comes from this is that, remember, it is subject to change, but we have to think about it from a playstyle change. Now on paper it might sound really good, it might sound too good to be true. Everything doesn't sound too bad too much. It sounds like an overall good quality of life change with a buff, with increased survivability. And also, I didn't tell you guys that the prime variant's armor went from 225 to 300. That is something else that they added in there as well. Overall, having 300 armor, if you're gonna put, you know, some arcanes and stuff on that, that'll be good for you. But the change from Toxic Saryn, because she was not primarily a melee frame, is a good thing. So now you make it to where, like, whenever she's shooting, she get the damage buff as well. I just want to see how it works in gameplay. Overall, Saryn is a good frame. Saryn is a really good frame. A lot of people had trouble understanding her. They kind of made the synergy a little bit simpler for you to understand Saryn now. But spores, man, is what got my attention, bro. I really don't know how this is gonna go. Doing the corrosive, how much armor is it going to be taken away? You guys let me know in the comment section. Do you think it's best to take away as a percentage, or do you think it's best to take away from the overall base on that enemy? And who is she going to be playing like right now? So with spores infinitely spreading to where you can hit an enemy with spores and then it just goes by. So if an enemy is killed by spores, then spores is then going to bounce over to that next target, which sounds cool. It sounds cool. It just depends on how much damage you're going to be doing. And that's one thing that I'm very worried about, is the playstyle change. But pretty decent so far. Pretty solid. I'll give it to Warframe. Pretty solid. Doesn't sound bad. Seems like they actually put some thought into it. What would you guys like to be changed? Like I said, I'm going to be paying attention to this closely, because I love Saryn entirely way too much. This is important for me for my endurance runs. And then the other thing is she going to be the same for endurance runs? For like whenever you're doing her runs, you remember it's all about spreading the viral. What is the range? And remember, her 4 doesn't have as much range as her 1, so you're not hitting the entire map with that viral like you did at first. You see what I'm saying? So that's something that's pretty important, unless the one with the new corrosive style is going to be playing the same way. Now, what I'm feeling like they did is that they slowed down the looking at the molt and just throwing one and killing everything on the map. That's kind of what I feel like they did, because it's easier to kill enemies with viral than it is to kill them with corrosive. And that's just something that's just really true. So like I said, let me know what you guys think about this one in the comment section. Really important to me so far. Doesn't seem too bad. I'm just worried about the playstyle change. Much love to you guys. I had to get this video out. I was super excited. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you made it all the way over here, I freaking love you guys. Follow me over on Twitch. I'm going to be streaming. Onslaught came out today, and I didn't even look at it. I did not even look at it. I saw the Saryn changes and I was like, this is 10 times more important. So if you guys want to come check out Onslaught with me playing it over on Twitch, Twitch is LifeOfRio, and I will catch you guys later on the next Warframe video. Much love to Saryn. Protect the booty.